Is there a championship loading in Columbus, Ohio? Well, that's the question I set out to answer today. Hi, my name is Kirtan Amin. I am your co-host of Beyond the Snap podcast and your host of the film study with Kirtan Amin. On this episode, we're going to be answering the question of will Ohio State dominate the college football world and end up hoisting the trophy at the end of the year? So there are many factors in believing that Ohio State's going to win because of all the competition. As we know, Georgia's ready. It seems that Texas is ready. All of these star-studded teams. So what makes me believe that Ohio State is going to dominate? Well, there's many factors, and most notably is these three categories: returning players, recruiting players, and transfer players. These three things are going to make Ohio State such a force that they're going to be unbelievable in the Big Ten next year. So first off, let's talk about returning players. And returning players, as of this Friday, Trayvon Henderson and defensive end JT Tumaloa have both forgoed the NFL draft this year and will be returning for the 2024 season. Now, I don't know about y'all, but this is an outstanding thing to happen, especially if you are a Buckeyes fan, because these are two NFL prospects. They're deciding to not go to the NFL because they want to win a national championship with their college, and they think they're going to progress to be even better players. That's why they're foregoing, so they can raise their draft stock on top of that. Now, of course, they will be joined by Emeka Egbuka. He is a phenomenal wide receiver who also chose to forego the draft, and he will be returning and also looking to win the national championship. So right there, I just gave you three really important key factors in winning this national championship that are all deciding to come back and bring a national championship home. Alright, so enough about them. Let's talk about the recruiting class you're bringing in. Well, as of 2024, the Ohio State Buckeyes are brought in the fourth best class in the nation, and that is topped off by Jeremiah Smith, who is the number one wide receiver consensus. He's arguably the number one player consensus of the 2024 draft, and for some reason 24/7 has him rated as a 101 on the website, which must mean that he must be a 1 in a million according to them. I wanted to mention this because this shows that Ohio State, year in, year out, doesn't matter if they have a down year, doesn't matter if they have a great year, they are always 1 through 5, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's their coach, it doesn't matter about anything, any of those things, because they're always there, and somehow they always bring in the best skill positions I've ever seen in my life. My problem with them is that they don't bring in as much big men as I would like them to bring in, but what they don't make up for in the recruiting class, they do make up for in the transfer portal. And that's where I'm about to go to now. So, Ohio State had a field day in the transfer portal. I believe they're number 8 right now. And that is topped off with 2 5-star poaches from Alabama. And of course, I'm talking about Caleb Downs, one of the best, if not the best safety in all of college football right now. And Julian Sayin, a 5-star Alabama committed quarterback who just decommitted to them and enrolled into Ohio State. So these two players alone from Bama are going to be game changers. They were considered coming out of high school as X factors, and Caleb Downs has lived up to the hype. Julian Sayin, we haven't seen enough of him, but if he's as good as they say he is, he's going to be a force. So not only the Alabama guys, let's talk about some other people. Let's talk about Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins was one of the most pivotal pieces in Ole Miss's offense last year, as he would run, essentially, he was the clock manager. As Cam Newton would say, he was a game manager because he controlled the clock. He was a dominant runner. I believe he averaged about 5.2 yards per carry. He was outstanding. His stats were off the charts, and I'm actually shocked that he's leaving Ole Miss, as Ole Miss also seems to be another team that is ready to win a championship. But he will be leaving. He will be joining Ohio State and hoping to win the Big Ten, hoping to win it all. And I said no more Alabama guys, but here's one more that I listed. Like I said, what you don't make up for in the recruiting class, you're going to make up for in the transfer portal, and that's where Seth McLaughlin comes in. Seth McLaughlin is an outstanding offensive line talent, again, from Alabama. He's going to be a really pivotal piece for your offense, and especially for Ryan Day, when you're going pass heavy, he's going to protect your quarterback, whether that be Will Howard, whether that be Julian Sayin. I guess we don't know, but once we figure it out, you're going to be well protected. Your quarterback's going to have a lot of time to get the ball out to Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. some things I do want to talk about because I do believe they're going to dominate the Big Ten, but they are facing a formidable foe. And that foe that they're going to be playing is Oregon Ducks at Oregon. Now, I don't know if y'all watched the Beyond the Snap episodes and the actual podcast, but me and my co host Kieran gave our AP Top 25 and College Football Top 25, and I listed Oregon as the number 2 team. I think how it's trending now, I might have had to change my answer to Ohio State, but as of that time, I put Oregon ahead of them because I think Oregon would be in the regular season. Well, like I said, this can be one of the best games in the entire college football as a whole because you're gonna have this offensive, star-studded Ohio State head into Oregon with their two best quarterbacks in the league, and two best quarterbacks in all of college football, arguably Dante Moore, Dylan Gabriel, and so it's going to be a clash of titans. I think whoever wins this is going to win the Big Ten almost guaranteed. I think this is going to be a outstanding game, and both these teams are predicted to make the playoffs, and I do think both these teams will be in the top 10 at the end of the season. But now with everything going in Ohio State's favor, they're recruiting all the people they want, they're bringing home all the people they want. It might be leaning towards them, but it is a home game for Oregon, so if I had to put my bet on it, give me Oregon winning by minus 3.5, but it's going to be so close to call. Other notable games, you have Penn State and Nittany Lions. Penn State is a defensive super team, but the good thing is that now Ohio State has built this outstanding offense. You have all these weapons, and I think you're going to be honestly too much for top tier defenses. And I'm going to say this as a Georgia fan, I think you're going to be overwhelming for Georgia, overwhelming for Ole Miss. You're going to be an overwhelming offense as long as your defense shows up and your defense can hold the other opposing offense. So, Penn State, I don't think you're going to have to worry about. I think you're going to handle them like you've been handling them. And then Michigan, you got the game, one of the oldest games in the books, and one of the greatest rivalries of all time, Ohio State, Michigan. This season, you're going to have it in Ohio State. It's going to be at your house. Jim Harbaugh, as we mentioned so many times in previous episodes, will not be there anymore. Ryan Day will be looking for his first win over Michigan. It's going to be such a great feeling for Ohio State if they pull this off. And if they pull this off, that means they're probably guaranteed to make it into the playoffs because we know Michigan's going to be a force. And that means it's going to be such a morale boost for the team. It's going to be crazy for any Buckeyes fan out there, and you're just going to have a field day. Other notable things that I want to say for this dominant team is that you're going to have a QB battle. So as of 2024 transfer portal, you brought in Kansas State's quarterback Will Howard. He had amazing stats last year. He was throwing the ball around and almost upset number 3 Texas. Of course, this was without Quinn Ewers, but still, you almost upset the number 3 team in their own house. So that proves that you're a decent quarterback nonetheless. But you're going to be in a quarterback battle with Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin, as I said, was unproven, but he is a 5-star talent. I hate looking just solely at the numbers and solely off of the stars, but he is a hyped up quarterback. He is like a Arch Manning for that reason. And so it's going to be a QB battle. I do think Will Howard will get it this year, and then Julian Sayin will take over the reins next year. But that QB problem of who's going to replace Kyle McCord, none of that anymore. You got your 2 guys in, and you're set. And lastly, I want to talk about how are you going to get to this national championship? Well, you need to be more aggressive. You need to play physically, and you need to be mentally tough. I believe these are your keys to winning. I've been watching Ohio State for so long. I've always disliked Ohio State, but Ohio State needs to get back to that gritty way of football, that battle mentality. Like you show up into Ann Arbor, you got to give it your 110%. You need to give it your 101 rating that Jeremiah Smith has. You need to try your best, and you got to be mentally tough. Do not let these teams get in your head. You did it last year. You almost beat Georgia, or 2 years ago, in the college football playoffs, and you need to bring that back. You can't dim that down. Like when y'all played Missouri this season in the New Year's Six Bowls, it was disappointing. Not gonna lie. You did have a lot of players sitting out, including Kyle McCord, because I believe he was getting transferred, but you should have showed up. You should have played harder, and you should have gone for the win because we know Missouri is gonna be a tough team. and you just fueled the fire for them. You fueled more prospects going to them, more recruits going to them, rather than to you. So you got to look at it from different angles. But I do think that if you play aggressive, if you play Michigan aggressive, who we know is one of your arch enemies, if you can play them and be mentally tough, if you go to their house, or if they come to your house and you play mentally tough football, you don't let them get in your head. You don't let them say, "Oh, the last 5 years we beat you, we're gonna beat you again." No, you need to go in with the mentality that you're going to win no matter what, no matter what the circumstances. You're going in to get your quarterback. You're going to go in and get your wide receivers. You're going to go in and get Ryan Day a championship. Um, these are the main points I want to cover. Um, and all I have to say is that if you are an Ohio State fan, things are looking up. And honestly, you're going to be the most dominant team, or projected to be one of the most dominant teams in all of college football. And I can't wait to see y'all get close to beating Georgia. Alright, that's all for me. If y'all noticed, I was wearing a Texas A&M shirt, but that's the only shirt I got. This is Kirtan Amin signing off. Please subscribe, please like, please view this videos, and refer us to your friends. And I would love for y'all to leave comments. I will personally get to them and leave a word response or answer any of y'all's questions. But that's it for me. If you enjoyed this episode, like I said, leave a like, go subscribe, and peace.